Hello, welcome B-Siders to another guest interview today for my podcast. I'm always excited to have guests on, and that will probably never stop because every guest is just wonderful and amazing, and such beautiful individuals who share their journeys, their stories, their impact music has had on their life. And yeah, I'm just so happy to have people coming on and sharing all that with me and with you. And hopefully, you can all walk away with ideas, confirmations, golden nuggets, whatever it is. So yes, another guest interview. And this time I have the wonderful Steph here with me. And Steph is someone I've met a few years ago in the flesh, and her energy has, I think, just taken the whole room by storm. Powerhouse of a woman, just amazing soul. And I'm so happy she said yes to come on, because I know she will have some amazing things to share. And I just want to welcome you, Steph. Thanks so much for hopping on and taking the time out to share your musical journey with us.
Thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to have a chat with you today. I was going to also share with you how much music has had a huge impact on my life, but we will get into that as well.
I'm sure we will. Now, I always say I suck with biographies and intros and stuff like that. Honestly, I do make notes. I do try to remember it, but I always feel like it's so much better if the actual person shares a little bit about them themselves, because I don't know, it just feels better for me. So if you don't mind, just quickly share with my audience like who you are and what do you do with your life at the moment.
So my name is Stephanie Zee, and I am a transformational breakthrough coach. And really what I support people with is helping them come into alignment mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. I help people a lot master their internal world. So if you imagine, best way I can describe it is, so often, let's say we want to build a skyscraper, and that could be that we want financial freedom, or we want a loving relationship, or we want a family, or we want a house with a white picket fence, or whatever it is that you desire. We imagine like putting different levels on that building. And if we haven't mastered the internal world, what can happen is we'll start putting the floors on, and then it'll collapse. And then we're like, why isn't this working out for me? And then it'll collapse again, and we'll try and do it even faster. And we're like, why isn't that working? And it's because I support people a lot with what's going on inside, and that's blocking them from really getting to their desires. So that's sort of the best way to describe it.
That makes a lot of sense. I like visuals. So having a skyscraper and getting the foundations right and starting internally to build outwards makes complete sense. Nice. Now, I'm obviously curious about music in your life, and I know that's going to be a very interesting conversation that we're going to have, because I think it has and still is playing a huge role, because music is energy, and energy is what you, I think, use in your individual coaching programs, events a lot. I know you do a lot of dancing and things like that. But maybe start off, how important is music to you? And can you think of something spontaneously that when you sort of, ask that question, how important is music? What comes to mind?
Yeah, music is extremely important. I actually grew up singing and dancing from a very young age. So when I was in early primary school, my dad used to always play music. And funnily enough, my dad, as a man back in the day, didn't really know how to express his feelings. So he would actually just play music to try and calm us down as children, or to try and express what he was trying to say. He would do things in a very subtle way. So I grew up listening to all kinds of music: classical, jazz, Triple J's Hottest 100, Led Zeppelin, Enya, Eminem, you name it, we would have it at our house. And so growing up, I did singing and dancing, and that had a huge impact on my life. And I really think what music does is it really is the key to the soul, in the sense of, like, I feel like when you're really tapped into music, you feel so alive. There's something about vibration in music that really makes you feel so expansive and like connected to the energy of like consciousness around us that creates worlds, is probably what I would say.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree with you. Music is, I think it's like a connecting string to everybody in our souls. And if we can grow up with that around us, it's obviously beneficial, isn't it? And different kind of sounds and musics as well, which opens up your horizon so much more, doesn't it?
Yeah. And just with you talking about strings, like the one thing I sort of explain to a lot of my clients as well is when you're in alignment, like you come into alignment mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, it's like you're a finely tuned instrument. But think about if a guitar's playing and it's out of tune, or a piano's playing and it's out of tune, it's like, oh, like you can hear it. It doesn't sound so great to the ear and you're like, what is going on there? And it's the same with us as a human. Like when we're aligned, you know, with our soul, with our heart, with our mind, with our body, we, you know, match the vibration of the law of attraction, and our desires come to us easily. But when we're out of tune, when we're out of alignment, things aren't going to come to us. That's the best way I also explain it. Like, and again, everything comes back down to vibration. It's energy and that sound, which is quite fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love that visual again. That's really good. Of us being an instrument and having to fine tune ourselves. Absolutely. Now, do you actually use music and sounds with your clients? And if you do in your coaching, how do you do that? And where can you see the benefits of us using that more in our life as well?
That's a great question. Yeah. In a lot of my different programs, and again, it depends on the result that we're seeking. So a lot of the time in my coaching calls, I will play music. Now, interesting. I have to share one thing. So
please do. It's really interesting, that one.
Sometimes I actually burp, and it is me clearing energy. So it sounds quite funny when you say that, but like I put on some oils before I came onto this podcast today. And so oftentimes what that means is any energy that I might have picked up, or any energy that's trying to come into my being, I clear it and I can kind of feel it, and I'll hit my chest to release it. So that's one thing. If I happen to be burping, please don't take offense. It's just me shifting energy. So if I were to know, because I do know, what was the piece before we were just talking about?
How you use music with your clients in coaching them.
Yeah. So a lot of my programs, especially early on, I would play music when they would be jumping on, and right at the end all the time. And we would be like celebrating. And that's really powerful. However, again, it depends on what energy we're trying to tap into. So when we're doing that, that's a lot more of a masculine energy, which is a bit more, it can still be fun and playful. There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes it can feel a little bit forced. Like if you're trying to get someone to go inwards and connect more to their heart and soul, something like that, getting them to jump up and down really, really crazy and pushing themselves, might not be in alignment for what the result is that we're trying to achieve. But if we're celebrating or something like that, that's powerful. So I've slightly changed how I've integrated music. I do a lot of meditations with them. So we'll do a lot of guided ones. We'll do like chakra meditations so that we can raise our frequency and vibration and get into the frequency of love. And then there's other things that I do, like I will play certain songs with no words. It's just music, more like classical or meditative. And I will take them through like hypnosis. And then again, with that, it kind of takes them on a bit of a different journey, because as we know, depending on the way the music goes and the sound, like you can sort of expand. Like sometimes the music will crescendo and it'll allow people to feel really expansive, and other times, you know, the music might be quieter and we might be trying to get them to ground their energy in and to be more like centered and present. So I definitely believe that music has a huge benefit, and anything that happens to us in our life and anything that we ever purchase or anything that we're doing, usually what we're doing is we're trying to seek a feeling, which is really a state change, which is really an emotion. And music does that for us. Music shifts our feelings and shifts our emotions. So it's a brilliant modality.
Nice. Yeah, I know, and probably a lot of my podcast listeners know by now as well, that music can really help you shift your mood and energy. I think that's what a lot of people do know. I do think that a lot of people don't know how to apply it properly and to their own benefit. So I think that's probably when having someone like you showing them this is how it can be done is really beneficial. So I think doing it on your own is great, but sometimes there is a time and a place to really go and get someone who has learned the trade, so to speak, and can really guide you so you get maximum benefit out of it. And I think that's where people like you definitely have to come in and, you know, help us out. Us seekers.
Absolutely.
Now, in your private life, obviously you've shared with us how you grew up and everything, but has there been a particular moment in your life where you turned to music a bit more to help you deal with something, you know, to help you, I don't know, out of a slump or celebrate something, anything particular in your life?
Gosh, that's a big loaded question, because there's been multiple times, but there's probably two ones that probably come to mind. I feel like when you're starting out on the personal development journey, like we all have these things called limiting beliefs. And we all have them in different ways. And a lot of the time it's, you know, fear. You might have fear of rejection, fear of I'm not good enough, fear of what are other people going to think, fear of success, fear of failure. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not loved. Like all of us have these, right? No matter where you are on your journey, like we're human. And I had a lot of that in the beginning. And there was an element of me knowing that I was meant to be doing what I'm doing now in my life. But when those downloads and those impressions or that intuition comes through for you to start taking action on it, the whole imposter syndrome comes up and all the limiting beliefs of like, who am I, you know, to think I can go and do that? And what are all my friends going to think? Because when you start talking about it, if you're not around people that are going to support that expansive thinking, they don't mean to, but they'll, you know, impart their own limiting beliefs on you and try to keep you small where it feels comfortable. And they're doing it unconsciously. They don't mean to intentionally do it. So I went through a phase where I kind of, probably maybe it was 2017. And I went through a period where my dad had 3 strokes and I was involved in a bus accident and almost became a quadriplegic. And I was going through this phase of like needing to trust that inner knowing and that voice. And I was very fearful. And I got really angry. I used a lot of anger because I was frustrated at some friends in my life and my family. Like it felt like no one could really understand me. And so I channeled a lot of that into some songs that I wrote. So I've written my own songs and recorded my own songs. And so there was a song that I recorded called You've Got This. And that was really a powerful way for me to actually channel a lot of energy into music, which was really, the song was about, like trusting your own, like pick yourself back up, like you've got this kind of thing, like just keep going. But there's also been another moment in my life where there's an artist called Jessie J. You might have heard of her. And she's got a powerful song called Masterpiece. And a period where I was going through my life, again, this was a couple of years ago. Again, it was like, I just knew I had this greatness inside me and like, I couldn't see it yet. And I was listening to her lyrics and she was talking about, she's still working on her masterpiece. And, like she talks about so much pressure, like, why so loud? Like, like talking about all these different people in her ear, but at the end of the day, she just knows that she has this greatness inside her and she falls down, but again, she gets back up. And that just really resonated with my soul. And I feel like listening to that over and over and over again, I come back to it all the time of just reminding myself, like we're all on our own journey. And when you fall down, you can get back up and you're still working on your masterpiece. Like we're an ever going, our masterpiece is ever ongoing. That's how I feel.
And it's kind of never finished either, isn't it? So absolutely,
like it's just until we move on from this transition from this world, it's an ever evolving masterpiece, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I do believe a lot of people probably struggle with that thought. They want it done before they go. So that's, I think, a thought that a lot of people maybe try to avoid as well. I think the song's pretty cool, so if you haven't heard it, go and check it out. The lyrics are really good as well, so like you say, it's a good reminder that like you said, we're all perfect in our own way, yet we're not, and it's work in progress, and not to give up.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
She's a powerful artist, and I love all of her music, and I feel like probably what resonates a lot with her as well is she just comes from her heart. Like she just literally, the way that she sings is so from her soul, and she just bears everything in her voice and just comes from her heart. And I also think that's probably why I resonate a lot with her. Just the way that she shows up in the world. Yeah.
So it's like someone, that could be, well, I wouldn't say a twin of you, but someone that's on the same energy level or same journey, but in a different way, maybe, sort of.
So you can call it calibrating. So calibrating can be when you're around someone that makes you feel like good about yourself, and that allows you to like you become the best version of you when you're around them, or when you're like listening to them. So whenever I would listen to her stuff, I would feel good about myself, and it would allow me to feel like I can become the best version of me. It's like she inspires and empowers that. So that's what you call calibrating. So go towards people in your life that activate you in that way. Like when you're around them, you feel great about yourself. You feel good about yourself, and it inspires you to become the best version of you. That's when you basically then you sync up to their energy and to that vibration, and you can, I don't want to go too deep here, but you can do what's called quantum leap or collapse time, which means you can kind of get to your desires a lot faster. Whereas sometimes when we're like, oh, that person's here and I'm here vibrationally, it can feel like there's such a big gap. And then that can keep us often stuck in resistance for a lot longer.
Yeah, a lot of food for thought. So
we won't go down that hole today.
No, not today. But I think in a way, to me, that could explain why we as people become fans of certain musicians, because obviously from an energetic level, or who they are and who sometimes they're portraying, because they're not really that. That's what we kind of want to embody ourselves, but we are not there yet, or we're afraid to be that. So that's probably why we have these people that we kind of, I don't like to say look up to, but we sort of are drawn to.
Or drawn to.
Yeah. So that's, now we've got the explanation here. Steph, giving it to us.
I love it.
Sweet. I mean, just hearing your story with the accident, and I know I've heard it before because I've listened to you on another podcast where you shared that. That to me in itself, I found just mind-blowing how you came back from that. You wouldn't, I mean, if I see you here today, I would not know that you've been through that. And you turning to music and writing lyrics, I mean, obviously not everybody will go down that road, but it's such a good outlet for your feelings to just let them out. And I guess one thing that we all learned who are on this self-development journey is, don't eat up your emotions. You've got to sit with them and then release them. And that's where I feel like music can be so good. If you're writing it or listening to it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's always been quite cathartic for me. And it was interesting. I like, just to be really vulnerable, I went through a phase where, so like growing up, I did so much singing. And then when I got I was in choral Stedfords, and I was in competitions and all of those types of things right until I was in the late in high school into my teens. Then I had a break, and then I got back into singing. Then I had another break. Then I got back into singing. And I got really stressed out when I was actually trying to do some singing a few years ago. And it was because I had done singing for probably, I don't know, at least 10 years. And then I gave it a break for about 4 years. And it's like anything, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it in a way. And I started using my voice incorrectly. And then I was trying to come back and doing it. And then I was getting so frustrated at myself because I had such a high expectation and a comparison of where I used to be at. And it was all a beautiful journey, because it was like music is meant to be about fun and freedom and flexibility. And yet I was trying to control everything, and I was being so rigid and so inflexible. And it's really interesting because I feel like with singing and with music, it can really reflect back to you where you're at on your own journey of growth as well, of what kinds of music do you listen to? Now I listen to a lot more classical, and I've always loved classical, but classical, and I'm getting into worship music recently, which is a lot just about faith, right? It's just about, and there's a different vibration I've noticed. So I still love all my pop sort of stuff. I don't think I'll ever stop that. But a lot of the stuff that they bring out nowadays, I'm like any rap, or there's nothing wrong with that, but it just doesn't vibrationally match to the frequency. And I think everyone has to be really mindful about why they're listening to music and how it makes them feel. Because sometimes when you're going through a breakup, let's say, it's well and good to listen to those types of songs, but if it's going to keep you stuck in that pattern of like crying and feeling sorry for yourself, at some point you've got to be like, okay, enough's enough. I need to shift the frequency. And it's like, you know, me, when I'm out on a run or I'll be working out, I'm very mindful about what sort of emotions or feelings I want to tap into, and I will intentionally choose music for that. And I'll even have downloads that will sometimes be that'll come through that's like, don't listen to that song right now, don't listen to that. And I'm like, okay. And so I take off the song. I'm very in tune with that sort of thing. And even movies, like it's the same sort of thing. Like I have to be very mindful about what I choose to listen to because of how it makes me feel. Yeah.
I'm now wondering, and you obviously are very attuned and you've learned that over the years and reconnected with that inner knowing and the downloads and everything. And I do believe we all have that. We're just forgotten or we suppress it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How do you think, or what sort of, in what ways do you think we could all start to reconnect to that again? Because downloads are basically in essence sound and like music in a way as well for me.
Yeah. And in intuition. Yeah. Like, and again, like it's a vibration, right? So think about it like it's a great question. Like everyone's tuned. It's 11:11 here. That's a sign too. I feel like everything's attuned on the Gold Coast anyway. Everything's attuned to a different frequency. So when we are in lack and scarcity and we're beating up on ourselves and we're going through a hard time, we're on a lower frequency. But when we're in love and joy and happiness and abundance and prosperity, we're in a higher radio frequency. So depending on where we are with music, it's also going to be on a different frequency. So with your intuition or downloads, I think there's two parts here. When you have a lot of thoughts, which can be like a stacking of trauma and pain, like we all go through trauma. We've all been broken up with, or we're broken up with someone. Maybe you cheated on someone. Maybe someone's cheated on you. Maybe you got bullied. Maybe you've made money, lost money. Like maybe someone looked at you weird one day. Like it doesn't have to be a big thing. We've all got it. Yeah. And over time, we stack and stack and stack, and that can create a lot of thoughts because thoughts are like magnets. Again, energy, music, vibration, right? And so you have to there's two elements. One, you kind of have to clear space. So you need to like clear out some things that aren't serving you, trauma, pain, thoughts that no longer serve you, et cetera, so that you can raise your vibration. But then the other element is going out and doing things that connect to your heart and soul, such as literally being in the sun, like being in the sun, grounding your energy with no phone, right? Your phone gives off a frequency, right? You'll notice if we scroll, we've all done this, I'm sure, when you're scrolling and you're doing it too long, you'll start to get like anxious and agitated, and it's because of the frequency that the phone is giving off a vibration. And so being able to be in the sun, just ground your energy. And then also when you're feeling happy and joyful, you get like a message that will come through. Like we've probably all had this where you're walking down the street feeling really good and someone's coming towards you, and then you hear this voice that says, smile at that person or compliment them on their dress or something like this. Like, so when you're feeling really happy, you have less thoughts because you're in a high frequency. When you're not feeling so happy, you'll have a lot more thoughts. And so when you start doing that and you smile at that person, sometimes you don't realize you've been a messenger to them. Right. And what will happen is you'll start getting more of those types of downloads, and you'll continue to do it. And you can call it synchronicity, you can call it intuition, you can call it a download, but I just see it as you're just on a different radio frequency. So when you're in a higher radio frequency, when you're feeling really good, love, gratitude, abundance, prosperity, you have less thoughts and less chatter going on, and you can distinguish that there's a different thought coming through. You can call it a thought that's not yours.
Okay. Yeah.
We are going a bit deep here, but I feel like you guys can handle it.
Yes.
And it's powerful. It's powerful because the law of vibration and the law of attraction is a very real thing. And it relates into music.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we're all basically energy and vibration and, little particles from the universe somewhere, which in essence is vibration and sound again. So we're all kind of one, and we just got to open that door a little bit more, and then things will start to move in a different direction, I think. So, yeah. But that was Oh, here we go. You know what
That's
was
a combination.
You know, it was so funny. I don't know, a few minutes back you were talking, and next thing I could actually feel a burp coming on. It was so funny.
Interesting.
I know.
Well, it can be energy clearing. So it's not like yeah. And our bodies all do different things. I just know for me, it's an energy clearing of shifting a lower frequency, basically, so that it doesn't stay in my body.
That's so interesting, because a burp in itself is a sound too. So here we are, music. That's cool.
Correct.
Not the wrong place at all. Wow, there's so much good stuff. And yeah, you just got to start somewhere and clear the rubbish out, basically. Absolutely. And then things will start to really take off. And I think we both can say for both our journeys that is true. So hopefully anyone who listens and watches this episode will really want to start clearing their rubbish out if they haven't done so.
That's also like with music, like be mindful and just sit with it and just think, like, the music that you're currently listening to, how does it make you feel? Because when we're going through something, again, I'll just go back to the, relationship. If you're having a relationship breakup, or you're going through a hard time and you're listening to things, and it's powerful because it can be healing in the moment. You can be listening to lyrics, and it could be either the lyrics that are shifting for you, or it could be the actual sound of the music. Like, it can be so many different things, or it could be both. But like, when we're going through things and we are, sometimes can keep ourselves stuck on that lower frequency, if we're listening to something that maybe is, making us feel a little bit sorry for ourselves. Now, if you're going through something just recently, that's fine. But if it's, 6 months on, a year on, 2 or 3 years on, and you're still like staying there, like, we kind of got to look at ourselves. But the last thing that I'll share with you, which is a great metaphor, which with the clearing that we were talking about, sometimes, like, I know for me, when I was going through a lot of things, I used to wear a lot of black clothes, like all black, like my whole wardrobe. Because my mum used to say, if in doubt, go black. Like, it's classic, it'll never outdate. And I went through my wardrobe and I was like, oh my God, and there's nothing wrong with wearing black clothes. I've still got black clothes. But like, my whole wardrobe, and I was like, oh my God. And it was once I started going on my healing journey, I started really shifting a lot of that. And I wanted to wear a lot more bright colors. So imagine your wardrobe at home. Like, when we're on a lower frequency, sometimes our clothes can be like full to the brim. Like, it's like, you're like, Steph, I can't even fit another piece of clothing in. And so sometimes if our wardrobe looks like that, or it can be other cupboards, it can be because we're holding on to things. Right. But as we start to clear and we start to heal ourselves and we start to feel better, and it could be you start listening to music that uplifts you, you might just naturally be like, actually, does this bring me joy? I might get rid of this thing. And then you clear space. So whatever's going on internally also reflects externally. And again, with music, color is a similar thing, right? Colors and another healing modality like music. It's just fascinating. All of these different things that can be affecting us in different ways.
I know. Yeah. And I think I said that to you before we started recording. It's the whole concept of music. Everyone kind of listens to it, but are they consciously aware of what they're listening for, the reasons why, and how can we apply that much better in our life? And hence, what you've shared is fascinating, and it's great. And I'm sure people will walk away going, I better look at my closet of music and see what I can chuck out and replace it with something else.
Yeah, and the more you come to yourself, the more that you kind of, and again, maybe right now you're like, wow, I wasn't even aware of that. I'm going to just, it's like, how is this actually making me feel? And like, there's all different types, but something's making you feel like angry or like frustrated, or like you want to go and punch someone. It's like, is that really serving you? And why may you want to listen to that? And again, it could be a healing thing for your journey, and that there's nothing wrong with that. But try and choose things that are going to like make your soul feel alive, or ask your soul, what can I listen to that's going to make me feel alive and happy today? Yeah.
I mean, the other thing as well is, why not ask your friends? Because sometimes they're listening to music that you've never heard of before, and is actually exactly what you need right now. That happened to me a lot of times, where I didn't even know about an artist or a song, and now it's like on my playlist because it's just a wonderful song that really helps me or makes me feel happy, or it just feels right. So that might be another thing.
Right. Because you don't.
Yeah, because you don't know of new artists if you don't. I think we all get stuck sometimes, like you said, in what we listen to. And I think the older you get, the more you refer to what you used to love instead of looking for new things.
It's interesting as well. Like I always say, I'm a bit of an old soul. My mum's always said this. Like, I love like all the classics as well. Like, I love Moon River. Like, I love Frank Sinatra, Bing Crosby, like a lot of the old school stuff. And I do think it becomes back to like, again, it was just very soulful. And back in the day, like you had to be able to sing. Like you had to, whereas now they have all these amazing things that synthesize and they can alter the voice, and that's powerful as well in themselves. Like Cher brought out that song, Do You Believe in Love? And they were using an auto-tune on her voice. I watched a thing the other night, and powerful, but then some people have gone to the extreme of like constantly using it. Whereas I do feel like, yeah, again, whatever works for you in the moment, just pay attention to how it makes you feel, and to how also, if you've got kids, like, you know, playing classical music when kids are going crazy is a powerful way to calm them down. Or even putting on like an like that can calm your whole household down. Like little things like that, how powerful would that be to be taught in school? Like in the mornings they come in and there's an sound being played in the classroom before they even get there, because it's a higher frequency vibration.
Yes. Yep. And you're not the first person that I sort of had this conversation touched on children and how beneficial it can be for them. So definitely there's so many areas that probably things could have been done better for the kids these days to help them step into who they are and don't have to, you know, feel bad about it or whatever it is that's going on these days with the younger generation, unfortunately. Right. Wow. Some really good stuff. I love it. I might even have to go back and listen to it again.
You are so great. Hopefully it's been powerful and that there's been some awareness. Like someone can take like away one new thing that they're like, I didn't think about that. Then I believe we've inspired and empowered, and that's really why we do what we do.
If that's it, then our job's done here for the time being. So one question I always ask at the end of every guest interview I have is, what if you would have to pick one song to describe your business and or life right now? Which one would it be, and the reason behind it?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's interesting because right now, actually, the song Fighter by Christina Aguilera comes up, which is quite fascinating. And I guess that song always meant a lot to me. Like in high school, like I always felt like a bit of the underdog. Like I always got bullied a lot. And that song really got me through. And I think for me, that song right now, I think there's actually probably two songs I would have to choose. So that one is really about, hang on, let me just get the lyrics in my head for a second. Well, I thought I knew you, thinking that you were true. Yeah, so Fighter for me would be like literally coming back stronger than ever before. But then I also love, there's so many songs right now, but Beyonce has a song called Destiny's Child, Stand Up for Love. So Stand Up for Love as well is, again, it's about standing up for love, and then also being able to leave the world a better place than you found it, and leaving a legacy and really making people feel something. So I would say in two different elements, because I feel like we need the warrior, a part of us that's going to go out and be able to come back stronger than ever before. But then there's also the other part that's all about love and connection and contribution, that's connected to soul and heart. I know we've previously spoken about this. I think that there's a different song that I actually shared with you. But right now I feel like that's probably what's coming up, because it's hard to choose one song. It's very hard to choose one song.
It is.
It just changes so much.
I know. And I know every person that asks that question, they're like, does it have to be just one? So I understand.
I do as well, because we go through, like, you know, it's a roller coaster. So we grow and evolve, and we all know when what's going great, enjoy it, because what's going great won't last, and you come back down, but then you come back up. Like, it's life would be boring if it was just the same. So I do feel like depending on where I'm going, what I'm going through, whether it's personally or professionally, does impact what I'm listening to. That right now it's a lot about worship, which is a lot of faith and believing and all of that sort of stuff right now.
Yeah. And that's funny as well, because that's it's so funny you say that, because a lot of previous guests I've had on, they're going through a similar thing. I feel they pick worship songs, and I was never really exposed to that kind of music much. So yeah, it's interesting to dig into that a bit more and listen to it, and actually starting to appreciate it as well, because there can be a little bit of a stigma around it too, this whole faith and spirituality. I mean, it's a whole other topic we could probably talk about for another half an hour, but I think it's just sorry, go on.
Whatever works for you. Like, I just think like to your point, like we could talk about it for half an hour. Religion and spirituality, two different things as far as I'm concerned. But I believe, to me, worship music is a lot of their lyrics are about faith and trust and believing and hope. So yes, they can talk about God or Jesus potentially or other things, but a lot of the main themes is hope, faith, trust, believe. And I'm like, wouldn't you prefer to be focusing on that? Like, faith and fear cause us to both believe in something we can't see, and they both take the same amount of energy. If not, fear probably takes up way more energy than faith. So it's like, would you prefer to listen to things that are going to bring you back on a lower frequency, that are not going to match your desires and going to keep you stuck and feeling crappy about yourself? Or would you prefer to listen to some things that are going to raise your vibration, raise your frequency, give you hope, give you faith and belief in something that maybe you can't see, but everything that we create in our life, we can't physically see it yet. And then we bring it into physical reality. So there's something in that.
There is, absolutely. Great explanation. So hopefully people will go and check out all these beautiful worship songs that I've heard anyway. Some of them are really powerful, like you said. So there you go.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. I think we've given people so much to think about. But as you said, if they just walk away with one good thing today, then I think both of our jobs are done for today, at least.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed it.
You are so welcome. And if anybody does want to stay in touch, they can reach out to me. I'm always open to connecting through like Facebook or Instagram, Stephanie Zee, Z-E-E. So super easy. I don't bite. I'm not scary. I'm like the most loving, like the person you see here right now is who I am with every single person. So even if you're a stranger and you loved hearing this and you're like, wow, I'd love to just like say, there was something that I got from that, or I had an awareness, or like that really inspired me, or maybe I didn't like the conversation. That's okay. You can let me know. I would love to connect. So Facebook and Instagram is probably the easiest way to connect.
Well, if they didn't like it and listen to the end, there must be something they did like. But I'll put all your details in the episode description. So if anyone wants to get in touch with Stephanie, please do. And I can vouch for, I've met her in the flesh, and what you see is what you get, and it's all good, all positive.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, well, until the next episode, B-Siders, I'll see you then. Until then, you take care, everybody, and keep on dancing and keep on rocking. Bye.